guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and I see that you are as well. So that's great. We're all here. Let's get started. I'm going to pick up from where I left off in the last video and we're going to finish off February 22nd, and then I'm going to come back later tonight if my power stays on. I explained in the last video that we've had a very, very vicious storm here with hurricane strength winds and snow and blowing and all those nice things. So anyway, my power has gone off once today, and I'm hoping that that will be it, that it'll stay on for the rest of the night. So if it does, if my power stays on, I will be bringing you today's drop by Q, which is the 24th, after I upload this one. But if I don't come back, then you'll know that my power is out. All right, let's go on to the next drop. And it is this one. And it says, well, actually, Q is referencing an anon who says, Q, DeGenova says sedition, not treason. Is that delineation accurate on those who were involved to frame Trump and the American people? Please advise. Now, beneath that, Q does advise. He says sedition, treason, crimes against humanity. Q. So I thought that maybe if this anon was having a little difficulty between the definition of sedition and treason, that perhaps we were having that same difficulty. So I got both definitions here for us that should help us, because there is a big difference between the two. Sedition is conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. For example, Maxine Waters, when she says, go attack them when they're eating in a restaurant and this and that, and is that not sedition? It's inciting people to rebel against authority. Yeah, so, and I mean, a lot of them are guilty of sedition by this definition, right? And not all of them are guilty of treason, but a good many of them are guilty of sedition. So what is treason? Well, let's make this a little bigger for you. And treason, the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to kill the sovereign or overthrow the government. Now, many of them are guilty of this. We know at least 2 attempts on the POTUS life, and I believe that there's been more, but we know of 2 from Q. So whoever is responsible for planning that is guilty of treason, no doubt. Selling uranium to our enemies, that's pretty much betraying your country, isn't it? Yeah. Selling weapons to our enemies, that's treason. There's a lot of things that come, under that. So it says the action of betraying someone or something, the crime of murdering someone to whom the murderer owed allegiance, such as a master or husband. Well, I don't know. I don't think that that's really necessarily the way we think of treason. Generally, we think of treason as betraying our country. But in the past, historically, it's been murdering someone to whom you owed allegiance, like a husband or a master or a boss or whatever. All right, let's go on. And here we are at the next one. And let's see if I've got a bigger, oh, yes. Okay, I remember now. Okay, Q gives us a link to download, and it's a very interesting download. Now let me go out there for a second and show you, and I'll put this in the description. So a lot of times if I want to leave, a link, I'm not able to go to it for whatever, maybe it's copyrighted, whatever reason, I put it in the description and it'll just say, link from video, and I'll have this there because this is something that some of you may want to look at in depth because, oh boy, does it ever contain a lot of good stuff. And what this is a review of various actions by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Department of Justice in advance of the 2016 election. So it's interesting because it covers all of Hillary's emails and all that stuff. It's very interesting. All right, and Q, for our reading pleasure, has pulled out a little bit. Actually, it was not Q, it was an Anon. An Anon pulled this out and Q responded. So from this that I just showed you, that link that I just showed you, and you can download that whole report, Coleman told us that he kept regularly, Coleman told us that he regularly took notes. Boy, that is bad grammar, and someone in that position should know better. But anyway, okay. And by the way, like, I've got a master's in English and I'm a writer, so I'm very sensitive about that. But don't feel all self-conscious about leaving comments, because I know I've read some of you will say, oh, my grammar's bad or what. I don't, my grammar's sometimes bad when I'm like typing a comment or whatever, because I'm not thinking, I'm just getting it off. But when you are writing for a living, or, you're a journalist or whatever, you don't expect these kind of errors. So anyways, let's go on. Coleman's notes, and this is so weird to me because this person's name is Coleman, and in Canada, we used to have Coleman's notes. And for all the, if you're reading Shakespeare or any of the, true literature, then, you could get the Coleman notes for it. And it would be kind of like, what do they call them in the States? It's a different, Cliff Notes. I think they're called Cliff Notes in the States. Anyway, they're called Coleman notes, and they used to have them in Canada. I don't think they make them anymore, but anyway. So it's weird when I see Coleman's notes, but that's my issue, not yours. Coleman's notes from October 4th contained the following entry. Anthony Weiner, and it says sick there because obviously it's misspelled, and they spelled it the way it was misspelled. 2, unrelated. 3, Weiner, sick, texting 15-year-old, sexually explicit. 926, federal SW, phone, iPad, SW, federal SW. Can't think right off what that is, but iPhone, iPad, laptop, initial analysis of laptop, thousands, emails, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children. We asked Coleman about these notes, and he told us that given their placement in his notebook, the notes most likely represent information he was briefed on first thing in the morning by his subordinates in the Criminal Investigation Division. Coleman stated that he may have passed this information to other FBI executives after the morning briefing with the director, but he could not remember if that occurred here. And so this Anon pulled this out and said, and children, because it's interesting, crime against children. Because they've already said that he was texting a 15-year-old, but then crime, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children. Interesting. So Q responds, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children. Q. So he's just reiterating it and saying, yeah, that's what's in there. So don't know what those, well, we do know what those crimes are. We just don't know specifically what the crimes are. We know that they occurred, and we know the nature of those crimes. But I don't know if I would ever want all the details, to tell you the truth, because I don't think that I could ever live comfortably again, and I mean that. Finding out about what they did to children, I don't know. I'm very, very sensitive, and yeah, don't think I could do it. All right, and then we have this. Okay, no, let's go up to the next one. Right, okay. All right, so here's the next one, and Q puts this, it's it's not really a meme. Well, I guess it is a meme. End the fake news narrative. And here is Donald Trump Jr. with meeting with the black, I think these are the guys from Blexit, the black exit from the Democrat Party, and led by, oh gosh, what is her name? Candace Owens, is it? I do follow her on Twitter, and I have a great deal of respect for her. I think she's doing a fantastic job and a wonderful role model, not just for blacks, but for all of us. She is a wonderful role model. And anyway, then Q puts a link to a Twitter account by Purple Sea Lion is the Twitter account, and this is where he got the meme from. And the fake news narrative, we are one. We are united. And that is true. There's a whole lot less racism in America than they make us believe. Oh, I know it exists. I've lived in the South. I know it exists. But I'm saying there's less of it than they want us to believe. I had neighbors that I just adored. And you know what? When push came to shove, the hurricane hit Louisiana, and a fence had fallen over on my car, but not all of the fence had fallen, but it was going to, because it was hurricane strength winds. This black neighbor, he came over. He came over. He didn't even know me. He didn't know me, but he said, "Your car, I wanted to alert you to your car." And so he went out in the hurricane and rescued my car from under the fence before it fell, which literally saved my car. And he was out there with huge roof tiles flying by him, and the big traffic signals would fly off. I mean, it was unbelievable, and it was dangerous, but he did that for someone he didn't even know. So I don't know. I don't believe that racism is as prevalent as they want us to believe, but there you go. And of course, we know that there's racism on both sides. It's not all one-sided, but I don't know. I think my experience has been that there's less of it than they want us to believe, but I don't know. Still exists though. Okay, so Q says, fake news only divides. Divided, you are weak. Together, you are strong. United, not divided. Where we go one, we go all. Q. And I love to see this. I love it. And if you are on Twitter, and I'm on Twitter, look me up. If you are on Twitter, I'm Mishel, M-I-S-H-E-L-D, capital D, Bytes, B-Y-T-E-S, on Twitter. And if you let me know, I'll follow you back. Now, sometimes I'm not on Twitter that much, and if I have a whole bunch of notifications, I might miss it if you say, oh, follow me back. So please don't give up. Just send it again and ask me to follow you back, because it's not that I'm ignoring you or whatever. It's that I haven't seen the request. All right. Now, anyway, she is a good one to follow on Twitter is what I meant to say. All right. And next we come up here to this. And Q says, well, he gives us a link to this right here, this AP. Well, it's Twitter, but it's this right here. White House looking into Labor Secretary Acosta's role in secret plea deal for sex abuse. Yeah, the White House says it's looking into Labor Secretary Alex Acosta's handling of a secret plea deal with a wealthy financier accused of sexually, and I don't know the rest of it. But this is where he led us. I'm not going to go out and read all that. It says, how do you fill your administration? And the reason I'm not going to go out and read it all is because it's really not the point, all the nitty gritty, because he would have linked to the article, not to the Twitter, if he wanted us to read all the nitty gritty. But this is the point he's trying to make. How do you fill your administration if the majority of those in politics are corrupt? Draining the swamp, Q. And he makes a good point. How are you supposed to fill your administration with people that are loyal to you and loyal to the country and patriots and, people that will do the will of the people that put them in power? How do you fill your administration with those people when there's so many corrupt? I don't know. I wouldn't want that job. Mm-mm. He's really, I mean, he is in there with a brood of vipers, literally. Alrighty. And then we have this. And it has a link to the Washington Examiner on Twitter. And it says, "One step closer, Q." Well, what's he talking about? He's talking about this. Breaking. Trump administration moves to cut off some Planned Parenthood funding. About time. Really. Seriously. Trump administration moves to cut off some Planned Parenthood funding. The Trump administration posted a final rule Friday that would require family planning clinics to be housed in separate buildings from abortion clinics. Well, I think that's a great move, don't you? Now, the Trump administration posted a final rule Friday that would require family planning clinics to be housed in separate buildings from abortion clinics, a move that would cut off Planned Parenthood from some federal funding. Which is good, because we know that a lot of that money that we give to them as taxpayers ends up in the DNC. We know because Q told us. So there you go. It should not be. Now let's go up to this. Here is the next one. All right, and we've got a link to Hillary Clinton's Twitter. And it says, "For those who think this war is fake or we are not considered a major threat, this is a direct attack by Hillary Clinton on Q and pro-POTUS patriots. The article referenced has an embedded link that literally targets pro-POTUS Q Twitter accounts that have been identified by Clinton and the deep state as serious threats." Why are they serious threats? Because they have the ability to shift the narrative. They're what are called influencers. You know, you've got YouTube influencers, you've got Twitter influencers, like Candace Owens. She's a Twitter influencer. She's got a whole ton of people following her, and people tend to listen to her because she's smart. She's, I don't know how well educated she is, but she sure talks as if she's well educated. So I would assume that she is. But she presents herself well, very intelligent. So, you know, she's an influencer. Well, those are the type of people that they want to go after because they don't want you influencing anybody. Not for good. Not for good. So, yeah, that's what they've done. And Twitter has already begun to remove targeted accounts. And they're doing it in stages. Some of my favorite are already gone. And it's tragic. Twitter has already begun to remove targeted accounts in stages under false pretenses. The war is real. The threat is real. Clinton, panic. Clinton, fear. Judgment Day coming. Q. Let's look at this article. Politico reports today a wide-ranging disinformation campaign aimed at Democratic 2020 candidates is already underway on social media, with signs that foreign state actors are driving at least some of the activity. So here we go with the whole Russian bots. And because a lot of pro-POTUS people are challenging these people, challenging these Democrats, and writing on their Twitter accounts, they're mad. So they're saying, oh, it's those damn Russian bots again. That's exactly what they're doing. They're doing it all over again. And they're wiping these accounts out, saying, oh, it's Russian, it's foreign interference. Yeah, disinformation campaign aimed at Democrat 2020 candidates. No, there isn't. It's just that people are challenging them and they don't like it. So instead of doing something about it and maybe changing their platform so they're more in line with the ideas of the American people, no, we got to get rid of those Twitter accounts because they got to be Russian bots. Now they know it's not Russian bots. They're not that stupid. They know what they're doing, and that's what they're peddling now. It's infuriating, and we're going to take a look at this a little bit more in depth because Q comes back to this. So we're going to show you that link and show you what exactly they're talking about in a bit here. All right, now Q, making reference to the last post that we just looked at, says disregard all spelling or other errors on the move Q. So obviously if there's spelling errors in there, it's a mistake, it's a typo, and not to be paid attention to. All right, now here's the next one, and Q again is making reference to the same drop that we just looked at, and beneath that he has a link to what we were discussing, and it says link embedded in article crooked Hillary, and she is 3 times in the kill brackets. Wow. Wonder what that means. Maybe there's 3 things she's being indicted for. I don't know. Cute. Anyway, let's go take a look at this. I think you're going to find it pretty interesting. Don't sue me if you don't, but I think you will. All right. Okay, now I know you're thinking, what the heck am I looking at? Well, let me tell you, because that's exactly what I thought when I landed here. I was like, what? Okay, all of these circles represent an account on Twitter. There is 200 of them. 200. Now, these are the 200 accounts. It says, who are they? The 200 accounts shown above are a sample of a network on Twitter. Oh, we're a network now. Talking about voter fraud and amplifying false and or misleading narratives. Oh, they're misleading because it's against the acceptable narrative, the lies that they're speaking. You can't speak truth on Twitter now. Don't be doing that. Anyway, and or misleading narratives about election integrity and the democratic process. We discovered that this group of 200 accounts either generated or were mentioned in over 140 million tweets over the last year. The shame. I mean, some of these people have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, you know? So you take these 200 people with thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, and yeah, they're going to tweet a lot because what they tweet gets tweeted by all their followers. These people. As you will see below, this network is not only growing at an accelerating rate, but also coordinating with effective tactics that appear to bypass many of the detection methods of existing disinformation research. Yeah, the memes, right? They're posting memes. And the algorithms, they can't do anything with that. So they got to just get rid of the account. Yep. As you read through the rest of the story in the subsequent report, you'll probably be left with more questions than answers. You're darn right about that. We certainly are. You might even be in awe of these networks. Oh, I'm not in awe. No. I think it's pretty natural, and I don't think it's really a network. But anyway, we can relate to that too. Some days, the size, scale, and effectiveness of all these modern tactics to influence conversation have fueled our curiosity. Oh, these people, they make me want to vomit. Okay, and who they are, evolving influence. And this is, this goes through examples of evolutionary clustering, and oh, it's all so scientific looking. Yep. But I know it's a big fat lie because some of these people I follow, like in the Matrix, and this guy, well, I can't remember his name, but I know I followed him at one point. And some of these people I followed. So, yeah, but they're gone. They're being removed in stages, and I don't have a huge Twitter following because I haven't been on Twitter that long, and I don't tweet up a storm or anything. Like, some of these people really work at getting a following on Twitter, and they're tweeting all the time, and that's what they do. And a lot of these people, yeah, they're influencers. They influence a lot of people with the truth because they're countering the narrative. Well, the powers that be don't like that. Don't question. So there's 200 of those accounts, apparently, which doesn't sound like a lot, except that these are very active Patriot accounts. Very active. So yeah, it does hurt. It hurts us all. So let's go back. And we took a look at that. And let's come back up here. And more. We've got more here. Now, this is, Q is linking to this by an anon, this drop by an anon that says, breaking, the internet infrastructure is under attack. The agency that oversees the online address book warns. Now, let's go take a look at this. And Q underneath says, gives us a link. This link to the Twitter is only showing this, which has already been clipped out, but Q provides us with a link and says tools of prevention online. Now let's go take a look at this. I guess we're walking there. It's slow. Next time I'm going to hitch a ride. La 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 la, dee 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 dee. We're just waiting, waiting, waiting. Closing things down here, see if that speeds it up, and it doesn't. It's not responding. Well, well, well. Anybody have a joke? Let me see. Let me think of one offhand while we're waiting and waiting and waiting. And here we are. We're waiting. Let me see if this is uploaded so I can close this down. I think it has. Yes. Okay, I can get rid of this. This. Oh, gosh. And, yeah. All right. Well, here we go. See how long it took? And I was just going to tell you a joke. I was going to say, did you hear about the two guys that stole the calendar? They each got 6 months. All right, let's get back to work. ICANN calls for full DNSSEC deployment, promotes community collaboration to protect the internet. Los Angeles, 21st of February, 2019, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Number, which is ICANN. Now, that's the people that manages, like if you want, let's say you want a .com, like deceptionbytes.com, or if I wanted MichelMcCumber.com or whatever, you go through ICANN. Like you can go through GoDaddy or whatever, but it's all handled by ICANN. And anyway, so they believe that there's an ongoing and significant risk to key parts of the domain name system, the DNS infrastructure, in the context of increasing reports of malicious activity targeting the DNS infrastructure. ICANN is calling for a full deployment of the domain name system security extension, DNSSEC, across all unsecured domain names. The organization also reaffirms its commitment to engage in collaborative efforts to ensure the security, stability, and resiliency of the Internet's global identifier system. As one of the many entities engaged in the decentralized management of the Internet, ICANN is specifically responsible for coordinating the topmost level of the DNS to ensure its stable and secure operation and universal resolvability, which means anywhere you are in the world, if you type in that address, you're going to go to the right place. On 15th of February 2019, in response to reports of attacks against key parts of the DNS infrastructure, ICANN offered a checklist of recommended security precautions for members of the domain name industry, registries, registrars, resellers, and related others to proactively take to protect their systems, their customer systems, and information reachable via the DNS. Sorry. Public reports indicate that there is, public reports indicate that there is a pattern of multifaceted attacks utilizing different methodologies. Some of the attacks target the DNS, in which unauthorized changes to the delegation structure of domain names are made, replacing the addresses of intended servers with addresses of machines controlled by the attackers. This particular type of attack, which targets the DNS, only works when DNSSEC is not in use. DNSSEC is a technology developed to protect against such changes by digitally signing data to assure its validity. Although DNSSEC cannot solve all forms of attack against the DNS when it's used, unauthorized modification to DNS information can be detected and users are blocked from being misdirected. Now, I'm not exactly sure what he is wanting us to see here. This is pretty well, I used to be a webmaster. I did websites for years and years and years, so this is not new information here, so I'm just not sure what Q is wanting us to see. Says ICANN's mission is to help ensure a stable, secure, and unified global internet. To reach another person on the internet, you need to type an address, like that's your www. A name or a number into your computer or other device. That address must be unique so computers know where to find each other. ICANN helps coordinate and support these unique identifiers across the world. ICANN was formed in 1998 as a not-for-profit public benefit corporation with a community of participants from all over the world. So I knew all that, so I'm not exactly sure why Q led us here, but let's go on and see. It says tools of prevention online, and it says the infrastructure is under attack, but I think it has been under attack many times in the past. So let's go on and see if this resolves itself. Sometimes in later posts it makes more sense. And if you know, put it in the comments below. I would appreciate it. And so would everyone, I would imagine, unless they're just ungrateful. Some people are like that. I don't get it. Okay, now, here is a long post. Long, really, really long. It's like sitting at a railway crossing and you're waiting for the train. That just happened to me, and we sat there for, I don't know, it was a long time. It was the longest train in the history of trains. Anyway, public service announcement, targeted, directed purge. Now, this is the Politico article on the candidates, a social media attack that is supposedly happening, which really isn't. Because it's just people that are patriots, they're supportive of Q, they're supportive of POTUS, and they're memeing, and they're challenging these Democrats on their narrative, and they don't like it. So, gotta get rid of those people. That's what's happening. Now, this list of targeted accounts, that long list, that was the first half. There's 200 of them. That was the first half. Now, let's go take a look at the Politico article. The Hillary Clinton, we've already looked at. We looked at that, what she said about, foreign influence. Sustained an ongoing disinformation assault, targets Democrat presidential candidates. A coordinated barrage of social media attacks suggests the involvement of foreign state actors. Oh, really? Oh, those Russian bots. Wide-ranging disinformation campaign aimed at Democratic 2020 candidates is already underway on social media, with signs that foreign state actors are driving at least some of the activity. Oh, and we all believe that, don't we? The main targets appear to be Senator Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and former Representative Beto O'Rourke, four of the most prominent announced or prospective candidates for president. All of them which have this much chance. Oh, wait, I just made a 6660 chance. A Politico review of recent data extracted from Twitter and from other platforms, as well as interviews with data scientists and digital campaign strategists, suggests that the goal of the coordinated barrage appears to be undermining the nascent candidacies through the dissemination of memes. Not memes. Oh, my gosh. It's horrible. Hashtags. Hashtags too. Hashtags and memes. Misinformation and distortions of their positions. But the decisive nature, see, these people can't engage in a normal conversation. So if you challenge their narrative, they fall apart like little whiny babies. They do. They fall right to pieces. You can't challenge them on anything. They can't have a conversation. So they're saying, oh, well, it's misinformation and distortion of my position. So they can't have a They can't. They really are incapable of discourse. But the divisive nature of many of the posts also hints at a broader effort to sow discord and chaos within the Democratic presidential primary. Yeah, as if there isn't already discord and chaos within the Democratic Party presidential primary. The cyber propaganda, which frequently picks at the rawest, most sensitive issues in public discourse, is being pushed across a variety of platforms and with more insidious approach than in the 2016 presidential election. Yeah, that's because there's more of us. There's more of us out there doing it, right? Because a lot of us have woken up since then. When online attacks designed to polarize and mislead voters first surfaced on a massive scale. And we know that it wasn't Russian bots back then. It's not now. So this is just a bunch of bunk. And I'm not going to read through all of this. We know essentially what they're saying and what they're, alleging, which is ridiculous. It's literally ridiculous, and I cannot believe that thinking human beings come up with this stuff. But I think they know full well that it's not. They're just thinking, what can we come up with that people would believe? At least some people would believe. All right, let's go back. So there it is, and it's a targeted, directed purge, and we've looked at Hillary's, and what is this? Voter fraud index. I can't remember what this is. I think that's the website we just looked at, actually. There we go. Yeah. So there you go. Unbelievable. And yet, so believable. All right, let's go on. We're certainly not going to click on each one of these Twitter accounts because that would be insane. And a lot of them aren't there any longer. I've already found that out. Because, yes, I was stupid enough to click on them. Okay. And here we are with the second part of the list. What he does is the long list, let me tell you, long list. Okay, so Q is referencing the post that we just looked at, and he's adding some information to the bottom with the second part of the list, and then he adds some to that. Gonna look at that. It's a long, long, long post. Okay, so that's the second part of it. Altogether, there are 200 accounts, and Q says to this, Patriots, you have been selected as threats and falsely labeled as foreign disinfo agents, though they attempt to disguise at the bottom as not all. This is an attempt to target and remove by false pretense all threatening voices. Elimination of free speech to prevent loss of control. These actions are now being monitored and would strongly encourage forwarding this information to the appropriate members of Congress, Senate, and the media. We believe this is a test run to effectively silence the opposition while testing the potential media backlash and/or official response. This attempt to remove, silence fascism, those who oppose their view narrative should further demonstrate their resolve to control the message, narrative, and win at all costs. That's exactly what's happening. That is, he's encapsulated exactly what's happening. And I don't think if somebody had told me even 10 years ago that we would be facing the crisis we are over free speech, I don't think I would have believed it. I really don't. But yet here we are. And it seems to be getting worse, not better. In fact, it seems to be getting much worse. So I don't know. All right. Okay, now it says here, Q references an anon that says they're scared and desperate. And Q responds with this, and it's a former post of his by on February 14th, and it says the following. More importantly, Why is the Washington Post leading the attack versus Q? Who owns the Washington Post? Jeff Bezos. Who funds Amazon? The CIA. Who targeted the NSA regarding surveillance, expose, prevent, uranium 1 / Iran? Who targeted NSA? The CIA. Did they not? To expose, prevent, uranium 1. I'm not sure, actually. Why are we attacked daily by the largest news companies on the world? Interesting that he didn't say in the world. He put on the world. Use caution. High follower count targeted to direct deep in narrative mob as method to remove. It says use caution. High follower count targeting. So if you have a high count of people, they're targeting you. That's the bottom line. And it's a method to remove you because they need those people that are influencing others to be removed, to be silenced. And it says, coincidence, days after this post, we have everything. Q. And they do. Apparently, they do. All right. Now, here is the next. And Q is saying 1, info. And he's showing, and then he's saying 2, remove control from government and provide to CA. Who controls CA? Okay, let's go take a look at this. I think this ties into the ICANN thing because I believe that Obama, if I'm not mistaken, and let's go take a look and make sure. Yes, he transferred the U.S. government control of the internet to a non-profit California company. Wasn't that nice of him? Yeah, he's a real swell guy, isn't he? Just swell. So what we looked at is, well, let's take a look at this because I'm not sure exactly. And it says they want to remove control from the government and provide to California. Well, who controls California? The Democrats. This is really, really dangerous territory we're in. I mean, really dangerous territory. So yeah, this goes through its understanding internet infrastructure and brief history of the internet infrastructure. U.S. Department of Defense wanted to connect some research centers together to enable them to share expensive computer time on mainframes. Government thereafter established ARPANET, an acronym for Advanced Research Projects Agency Network. The network connected only 4 computers located at University of California at Los Angeles, University of Stanford, University of California at Santa Barbara, and University of Utah. And when I first started university, way back, that's what the internet was. It was mainframes connected together. And I remember when I was able to get into the mainframe and get into do some research from libraries and different areas and stuff. This was all really new and so exciting. I thought, wow, I can communicate with a library that's way in the States somewhere. It was just so exciting, but that's what the internet was. It wasn't any big deal. The connections were made via local area network, paging network, satellite network, all using packet switch. By 1973, to ensure an open system, Internet Protocol was developed to enable different LANs to work together. Different LANs were interconnected using gateways. We don't need to go through this because some of us are not all that computer literate, and it's not that necessary, but literally, Q is telling us that they want to remove the control from the government. They did remove control from the government and provide to California, because who's in charge of California? And we know that there's 4 families there: Pelosi, Newsom, Brown, and the other one that I can't think of right now. But those 4 families, and it's been Democrat. So yeah, not real safe Who's governing the California companies? The Democrats, because they're in control of making the laws and the rules and blah, blah, blah. So then we've got this, and it says significant risk, cover, control. Oh, it's all about control. It's all about cover. So let's go take a look at this. No, really, let's. All right. All right. Now, if this doesn't make you mad, then I don't think anything will. 7 days before Obama gives away internet and national security. This was September 24th on 2016. In 1 week, President Obama will allow what remains of the United States control over the internet to pass to a California nonprofit organization, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN. This is a reckless and dangerous decision that has serious national security consequences that have not been fully considered. Wow. I didn't know this. Currently, ICANN has a contract with the Department of Commerce's National Telecommunications and Information Administration, NTIA, to manage the naming and numbering functions associated with the Internet. The most important of these is the assignment of Internet protocol addresses, IP addresses, to domain names. This is called the IANA function, Internet Assigned Numbers Authority. ICANN performs this function pursuant to its contract. Then NTIA reviews the assignment and authorizes VeriSign to post the IP address to a server, the authoritative root zone server that is the master file of all IP addresses. This A server is replicated to all the other root zone servers globally on a daily basis. This is how a domain name gets online. Domain name, IP address assigned, NTIA reviews and authorizes, and VeriSign posts. And it goes all over the world at different rates, because I know when I used to update the internet, it would populate in some areas faster than others. You know, some people in Canada could see it when other people in, somewhere in Europe couldn't yet. Anyway, thus the integrity of every IP address for every domain name on the internet is under U.S. control and stewardship. The NTIA contract with ICANN expires October 1st, 2016, even though it could be extended for any period through September 2019. Upon expiration, President Obama has agreed to let the Department of Commerce hand full control over the IANA functions to ICANN, effectively ceding the last control that the U.S. has over the internet to an ambitious nonprofit organization that will have no ties to the U.S. government. To be fair, some people are very much in favor of the transfer. Some claim that getting the government out and transferring all authority to ICANN will help ensure a multi-stakeholder process to internet governance and shared authority over the internet. Others claim that the transfer will help ensure freedom of expression, because giving our control to ICANN will keep the internet out of the hands of the UN and its International Telecommunications Union, where Russia and China have been grasping for it. These governance issues, however, have overshadowed the national security considerations, and proper attention has not been given to the importance of our control over the IANA function. We don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Solutions can be designed to meet legitimate concerns of users and nation states while preserving national security interests. So anyway, I'm not going to go through all of this. But this is serious. This is really, really serious. And I did not realize that had happened. Let me just, the last paragraph is usually the sum up. So let's read that. So what can be done if the NTIA contract is to expire in only 7 days? President Obama should extend the turnover of IANA functions 1 year, so these national security considerations can be fully debated and a new multi-stakeholder governance approach can be developed. Are you an internet user? Does your company need the internet to operate? Is public safety and certainty in military operations important to you and your family in times of warfare? Take some action. Send the president an email. And yeah, that didn't help, obviously, because it's done. It's done. So let's go back. And so the first step was they removed control from the government and provided it to a California nonprofit. And Q is saying significant risk, cover, control. Oh yeah, it's a huge, huge risk. Now, why would Hussein transfer the U.S. government control of the internet to a non-profit California company? Well, that's a good question, isn't it? Why would he do that? Why would he? Not for any good reasons. You are the news now. Q. Yeah. Unbelievable. All right. Now, this is interesting because I believe this person, Ben Shade, J. Ben Shade, is one of those 200 people. When you go out to their Twitter account now, this is what you get. Sorry, that page doesn't exist. You can search Twitter using the search box below or return to the home page. Yeah, when you look on some of those people that are on that list, they're gone. And this is what you get. Sorry, that page doesn't exist. Yep. And so Q is drawing our attention to that, saying nothing to see here. I mean, literally nothing to see there now. You are the news now. Q. Q wants us to be angry about this stuff. He wants us to be out there and telling other people and spreading this. Because you know what? Some of this stuff, literally, like you tell people and they're like, nah, I don't believe that. But you know what? The more times we get it out there and the more information we push out there, the more they're going to see. You know what? Yeah, this really is true. So there you go. That brings us to the end of February 22nd. It was a very, very long drop, but lots of good information in there, if you ask me. So that's it. Now, hopefully, it's getting late, but hopefully I'm going to be back tonight with the posts from today, the 24th. So at least I hope I am, unless Q has been just posting like crazy. If he has, maybe I'll just do the first part of it today, but I will be back, hopefully, if my power stays on, I'll be back for another video. Thanks so much, guys, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you guys, appreciate your comments, appreciate your cups of coffee. It really helps. It helps me, with when my equipment needs updating or whatever, it helps. So thank you again, and I will see you soon.